Hello, everybody. Welcome to the January 5th, 2025 version of Lunch with the Mayor. So glad to have you on today. We are going to touch on a whole bunch of topics as we normally do. However, I just wanted to first start off by saying Happy New Year's. Glad to have you here with me and getting started on the new year this way. We have a lot of projects this year. This is going to be a big year. Some of that has been because projects from last year were put off to this year because of financing and grants and things like that. Some of that is just purely because of when things have kind of come due, and so we're going to have a really busy year. Now, the good news is, is that I actually have planned out all of our Lunch with the Mayor schedule for this year. So if you want to get your calendars out, January 5th, February 2nd, March 8th, April 12th, May 10th, June 21st, July 26th, August 30th, then I don't have a September one, October 4th, November 11th, and I think I told you wrong, but that's okay. November 1st, and December 6th. That is the tentative schedule right now for Lunch with the Mayor for this year. So go ahead and pencil those in on your calendars. As you well know, as my schedule changes, we may have to adjust and change some of those dates, but we try to do about every month, try to do a Lunch with the Mayor version. So happy to be with you again, and we'll kind of get started with that. In regards to changes at the beginning of the year here, we do have some changes that have occurred. We have a new city council member, which is Leslie Robinson. We're excited to welcome her onto the council. As you are probably well aware, Walt Crowder, who has been a council member or Board of Works member, sometimes both, since the year 2000, decided to retire this past year. And I don't know that I really talked about it in last year's Lunch with the Mayor, but I will say Walt was a fantastic partner. Continues to be someone who absolutely loves this community and always was working for the best of the community, and so we definitely miss him, and we'll continue to miss him going into the future, but I know he is happily retired, and so we wish him well. With that being said, on his council position, Leslie Robinson was selected for that position, elected to that position by the citizens of the Northeast District of the city. And so she is now representing the Northeast District of the city. I don't know that we've updated the website yet. We maybe have, maybe haven't yet, but we will be kind of doing new pictures and all that kind of stuff here toward the end of the month. So those are all things that are scheduled. So then the Board of Works, obviously, with Walt stepping down. And then also Nicole Penrod, she also, it was also decided that she probably should retire. And I know that her grandkids are getting older and life is changing with her and all that kind of stuff. Again, somebody who was on city council for multiple terms, someone who cares very deeply about the community. I will truly miss Nicole as well. She was a great partner. And so she also has retired from the Board of Works. So that means I have two new Board of Works members this year for this term, and that would be Dan Wegold, who, as some of you may remember, used to be on the Board of Works, stepped off for a term while Nicole was on the board, and I've now brought him back on as kind of the council appointment, if you will, or not the council appointment, but a member of the council that I've appointed to the Board of Works. So Dan will be rejoining the Board of Works, which is great. I'm glad to work with him again in that kind of area, that concept, if you will. And then we have a brand new Board of Works member, which is Lisa Smith. Now, if you don't know Lisa works for the Don Wood Foundation. Currently, she previously worked for the Ivy Tech Community College in Fort Wayne, but she has been a long time, I don't know lifetime, but long time resident of Columbia City. And I think her dad was a school teacher, and and she's been super involved in the church and all that kind of stuff. But long story short is Lisa is joining my Board of Works. I'm excited to have her on board. She is very, very, very fresh to city government, but I have really high confidence. We've worked with her on the EDC and other things, so really high confidence in her and excited for her leadership. I think one thing, just as a comment, that I think is really interesting this year is that on city council, we actually have a female majority city council. We have, as you well know, we have 5 members of the city council. 3 of them are females. I think this is the first time in history that we have had a female majority council. Honestly, in the broad scheme of what we do, it doesn't really impact anything, but I do think from a historical standpoint, it's a really kind of cool thing. And so I'm excited to continue working with our city council. They've always been great partners, and the faces have changed throughout the years, but it has been a really positive experience. There's a lot of times where 2 different layers of government, if you will, or 2 different branches of government can really butt heads and can create additional, challenges with each other. And that happens a lot and throughout the state of Indiana, throughout the country, etc. But I am really, really proud that in Columbia City, we have consistently had good collaboration. We consistently, I think, show professionalism, and I'm excited for this new year to begin. I know I'm kind of rambling on a little bit. I'm not trying to. But as you know, last year was a tough year. Last year was a tough year for us with the former park director and with some of the projects coming in over bid and some of the challenges of last year. I think just about everybody here was ready to turn the page. And so 2024, I have a really strong belief it's going to be a great year for all of us. And so I hope it's a great year for you too. And by the way, again, thank you for tuning in at the beginning of the year to this first Lunch with the Mayor. My goal for this year with Lunch with the Mayor will be to stagger. So basically every other video I'm going to try to have a special guest that will help educate you, the citizens, the residents, of different things happening in the community, but also just to kind of explain some of the things that are happening. As you may remember, I don't know that it was I think it was last time, we had Nathan Bilger from the Planning and Building Department here. If you missed that, please go back in my videos and take a look at it. I think it's really educational about how things work and where we're going and how they determine whether something is an unsafe structure or whether they determine, whether this meets the planning guidelines or all those kind of things. So it's a really interesting discussion. Talk a little bit about US 30 in there. So I would encourage you to go back at some point and take a look at that. But with that, that's my goal, is to go back and forth where we have a kind of an update meeting, which is what this is going to be, and then have a special guest in between. So we will jump right into issues. So first up is Eagle Park. And Eagle Park, as I've mentioned before, that was a project we were supposed to do last year, but the bids came in $1 million over budget. So we went back to the drawing board. We did some changes. We were going to do some of the stormwater work in-house. We think that some of it was the timing of the bid, things like that. So now we're actually going out for bid. We are actually out for bid right now. And I do anticipate that stormwater work is going to begin sometime early this year. I don't know that it'll be like right away because we're working on South Chauncey Street, which I've talked about a little bit in the past. Let me see if it's on my list of things. I think it is somewhere. I'm not seeing it at the moment. But anyways, yes. So we're working on South Chauncey Street right now and the sewer gas issue there. But as soon as that's done, I think the plan is to move out to Eagle Park and start seeing stormwater work done there. So you will see work start on Eagle Park. We are committed to that project. Hopefully the overall work will begin sometime late spring, early summer. I'd love to have it built completely by fall. Early fall would be great. I'm not going to be that that aggressive. I don't think we can be that aggressive. But I am excited about getting Eagle Park done this year. So that's one. Next is the Next Level Trails, the trail extension, the Blue River Trail down to the high school and middle school and Little Turtle Elementary School campus. That project will be bid very soon. I was anticipating it being out to bid by now, but we had a little bit of hold up by, again, when you have a project that is funded by, primarily funded by the state of Indiana, and you have to cross a railroad and a river and a state highway, there are a lot of hurdles we have to go over. But long story short is, my hope is that we'll be to bid that very soon, whether it's at the end of this month or beginning of next month. That's my hope. So, Westgate is out for bid right now. As you remember, the Westgate project, that's the second phase of Westgate. And the second phase of Westgate is primarily Buddale Drive and Lawrence Drive. So there is a little segment of Westgate Avenue that's on each side of Lawrence that will be a part of that project, assuming that all the costs come in where it needs to be and all that kind of stuff. But you'll remember that we did the far eastern phase of the first phase, which is the first phase of Westgate. Now we're doing kind of the middle portion of Westgate, and then the last phase will be the full western portion, basically from Lawrence Drive all the way to the end on the west side. I anticipate the western side of Westgate will probably be done in 2026, which is 2 years away. I've tried to split those with other road construction type projects, so that's my hope, that's my goal, and but like I said, right now that's out for bid. Again, we did get $1 million in community crossings dollars from the state of Indiana for that project, so that's so we're excited about that project. So the Propel US 30. By the way, if you've not been to the website yet, propelus30.com is the website for the Pell study, the Planning and Environmental Linkage Study. That study is ongoing still. We anticipate that it should be done by late this year, early next year. Again, that is a NDOT study. Actually, I believe the second council meeting of this month, which will be on January 23rd, we actually will have representatives from the Pell study at our council meeting to give a presentation on where they're at, where they've been, where they're going, and of course where they're at this moment. So, as I mentioned at the last meeting, the first level of assessment of the corridor has been done. That's basically prioritizing what treatments we're going to use there. I'm sorry, I keep seeing we. It's not we. It's not at all we. What kind of treatments they're going to prioritize being used at different intersections along the way. So it could be a scenario where they say, okay, at this intersection we're going to do an overpass. At this intersection we're going to do an interchange of some sort. Those kind of things, but they're also looking at, do we want to add lanes? Do we want to do a bypass? Things like that. And they've already said on that first level assessment, they've said no bypass, no extra lanes, obviously trying to decrease the amount of traffic lights around the way, things to that effect. So they've already taken some of those things off the table. Tolling of the road or toll road has also been taken off the table as well. So I think that's some really good news, as I said last time. However, there are still treatments like J-turns that are included as a potential option for the different intersections. So I'm going to keep pushing back on that, as you are all well aware. I think J-turns are perfectly fine treatments. I just don't think they're a good treatment in a highway scenario when traffic is coming in at 60 plus miles an hour, things like that. So that next layer of assessment really will be to start putting specific types of intersections on the map and really trying to decide how do they create a better highway. You know that right now it's supposed to be sort of free flow. It is not free flow, clearly. It's supposed to be kind of a limited, limited access highway. I don't think anybody would legitimately call it limited access highway because there's so many road cuts, there's so many farm cuts, there's so many house cuts along the way. So long story short is our goal has been from the beginning and will continue to be that we believe fully that US 30 needs to be bumped up to a freeway. And that way we can have a more cohesive community where we can have connections on both sides. There's a lot less accidents. There's a lot less cause for accident. And even past that, it really will create a better economic environment for that whole corridor from I-69 and even, frankly, all the way over to the Ohio state line, clear into Porter County and further west in Indiana. So I know I can drone on about US 30 for a long time. I'm just saying I think that there's a great opportunity for us to really improve traffic, really improve safety here, and I don't want to miss the opportunity, which is why we've been so engaged in the US 30 Coalition and other things. So that's all I'll say about that. Again, we have a sewer project happening on 100 South. That's in partnership with the County Redevelopment Commission. That project has begun. It is ongoing right now. If you take 100 South, especially between 300 and US 30, you will know that there's work being done there. So be cautious in that area if you end up taking that little jaunt, if you will. We have basically completed the downtown planning effort. The downtown planning effort specifically had started, I think beginning of last year, and had went through the majority of at least 2/3 of the year. That plan has kind of been finalized, and it will go to the Plan Commission on Monday. It's going to come to the City Council on Tuesday. We actually, back in, I think, November, we actually had a presentation by Catherine Puckett from HWC Engineering, who actually did she was in charge of the project, and so she went through the downtown plan and the reason and rationale behind it and what it all proposes. Once those things are approved by Planning Commission and Council, we'll get it up on the website, make sure it's easily accessible for everybody to get to, all that kind of good stuff. But thank you to so many people in the community that were a part of that effort. Whether you were part of online survey work, whether you came to First Friday and you played with the little maps, whether your child played with those little maps and said, what if we did this? What if we did this? All of those things played a huge role in deciding kind of where we are going with our downtown long term. And as you know, our downtown is pretty darn full at this point, which again sets us apart from so many other small communities across Indiana. And so they really came to us and said, okay, listen, typically we come with these low-hanging fruit kind of things, right? A facade program, maybe put a pocket park in, do some maybe murals, make sure your first floor is at least at 70 or 80% capacity, things like that. Check. Like, we have murals, we have our downtown pocket parks, we have good thriving businesses in downtown, we have our restaurants and our service-based businesses in downtown. So we have a facade program that's been used for many years now. That's why you see the majority of the fronts of the buildings look really, really nice. The vast majority, I would say, of the buildings that have been spruced up in the front have been done, not all of them, but the vast majority of them have been done with the facade program through our redevelopment commission. So I think we have a lot of things to be proud of. The actual stats in there show that we have a higher percentage of, I think it's a higher percentage of millennial population in Columbia City than most of our, we'll say, competing cities or likewise cities, if you will, in Northeast Indiana. All of these things kind of come together to say we are really creating a vibrant downtown. I don't say we as in just the city by any means. We're a part of it, but we're a small part of it. Businesses, festivals, restaurants, etc. are all creating a vibrant downtown, but it wouldn't be vibrant without people coming downtown. So you are a main part of that as well. So I say all that to say there are some really big, dreamy kind of goals in there, but there's also some very practical goals as well that we're going to be kind of looking at as that plan gets developed and as we move forward with those steps. So Plan Commission on Monday night, City Council on Tuesday night for adoption and approval. Eagle Ice Rink has been open now for a month and a half now, maybe. And so the Eagle Ice Rink, maybe a month, I'm not sure. Anyways, long story short is Eagle Ice Rink is now open. For January, I believe, the schedule is Fridays from 4 to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 1 to 7 p.m., and Sundays from 1 to 5 p.m. So goodness gracious, take advantage of these mild winter days. It's really cheap. I think it's like $5 for skates included, I think, to go skate at Eagle Ice Rink. If you have never skated before, it is the perfect ice for you to skate on because it's not ice, it's plastic. And that was the whole purpose behind it. We wanted to kind of create a feel where lots of individuals with lots of different abilities can get there, can enjoy the skating rink. I believe that my family's going to go maybe this weekend. We'll see, but I just say all that to say it's a really cool place to take your kids, especially maybe young kids that you'd be a little nervous about them being on ice. You can walk in the skates on the ice, and actually it fits really well. So if you're a professional skater, you may not like it as much. It's a little more sticky, I'll say, than what ice is. But if you've never skated before, or you have friends and family members who you want to take with you that have never skated before, it's really perfect for that. So, okay, other items that are going on right now. Leaf pickup is happening right now. I'm sorry. Leaf pickup is now completed. That's what I meant to say. We did have multiple additional weeks of leaf pickup, and we ended up ending that. I think the week of Christmas we stopped doing that. The vast majority of leaves have been picked up, and very, very, very few, if any, piles were out the last time we went through. So with that being said, we're done with leaf pickup. We actually went about a month later than we were scheduled to do. But again, another service that we provide to our residents that is a part of the benefit you get with living in the city. So next up, food and beverage tax is now in effect. We've talked about this on how many umpteen lunch with the mayors, but food and beverage tax is now in effect. So there will be another 1% on your sales tax if you go and eat at a restaurant in Columbia City. By the way, if you've eaten in Fort Wayne in the last 10 years, you have already been paying Fort Wayne that same tax. And so these dollars, food and beverage tax dollars that are collected in City of Columbia City, not just downtown, but all restaurants, the McDonald's and the Bob Evans and Big G's and all those along the way, all of those dollars that are collected. So for every dollar you spend, it's 1 cent. For every $50 you spend, it's 5 cents. I'm sorry, 50 cents. So again, it's 1%. But nevertheless, those dollars all go toward Eagle Park and the future growth of Eagle Park. It's I think a 20-year. It's a 20-year program. So, rave notification system. I talked about this last time. My hope was to roll it out by now, but we've had some things that we've had to tweak. We want to make sure that this is a program that if you sign up for text alerts from Rave, from our system, if you will, that we are not bombarding you with information. So here's how it's going to work. And I'll talk about this probably more at the next Lunch with the Mayor broadcast as well. But here's the main point. You will be able to sign up for text alerts from the city on a whole host of things. If you want to know when the next city council meeting is, or you want to get agendas for city council, things like that, you'll be able to sign up for that. If you want to get notifications of street closures, you can sign up for that. If you want to get notifications of when the aquatic center has reached capacity, you can get notifications for that. If you want to get notifications about snow emergencies and what that means, you can get notifications for that. Or you don't have to. You can sign up for as many notifications or as few notifications as you want. If you have a child that's in baseball or softball, you can sign up for the baseball list or the softball list. There's a whole host of options that you're going to have that you can sign up for direct access. So one of the things I kept hearing during the campaign, and rightfully so, and things we've heard even outside the campaign, was how do we get information if we're not on Facebook? Now, I understand fully. We're on Facebook right now, so you all have Facebook. So this isn't an issue necessarily for you. However, there is a lot of information, even on Facebook, to weed through in order to get answers, right? So our goal is, how can we go direct to consumer? How can we go directly to the constituency to say, here is the issue, here's what's happening, you need to be aware of that, things like that. So we will have an opportunity here very shortly for all residents to sign up for whatever kind of notification they want. So if you want to, again, notification of park stuff or other things, you're going to have lots of choices to sign up for. When we roll this out, and again, it should happen, I'm going to say later this month. I've given a hard deadline of February 1, but I think it'll happen before then. So, long story short is when we roll this out, there will be a QR code, there'll be a website. Basically, you have to go and register, okay? And then you have to sign up for whatever text alerts you want. Now, if you sign up for something and you're like, I thought I would need this, but I'm getting these alerts that I don't need to get, then you can just opt out. And that's perfectly fine. You can go in and change an add list or to subtract list, all that you want. So I'm really excited about that. As you can tell, we will have a list for basically every board and commission that we have that's a public board or commission. We'll have a list for city council and board of works. We'll have a list for public safety, things like that. The one thing that we're working on right now that I need to just be transparent about, is that we're probably going to have a list that's called emergency, and that would be, God forbid, that would be something like we have a chemical fire. That would be something like we have an active shooter. That would be something like, hey, stay away from this area, we're evacuating, whatever the case is. God forbid any of that happens, okay? However, I say all that to say this specifically. That may be something that you're automatically opted in. And the reason for that is because if we need to get you information ASAP and we think it's something that is absolutely critical to your life, then we want to make sure that you get that right away. That it's not something where, ultimately I'll say this. We've had 1 or 2 times, I think, in my 12 years as mayor, year 13 now, that we have had to actually evacuate a neighborhood. And the reason for that was, I think, a chemical fire issue. And so we didn't have a alert system like that. And so we literally had to go knock on doors. We had to take the little speaker around, but it was in the middle of the night. And so there was just a lot of issues with it. So I say all that to really kind of bring home the point of the emergencies. We want to make sure that you get the emergency right to your hands so you can protect yourself and your family. So that is one benefit of this program, is that you will have access to that emergency information right away. So we're working on some little tweaks and getting the system completely right there. You actually there'll be a place you can get notifications when the next lunch with the mayor is, and that kind of information, when the state of the city address is, all that kind of good stuff. So lots of options for you. We will roll that out, like I said, end of this month, very, very beginning of next month. That's my goal. Let's see. Stormwater work on South Chauncey. I talked about this a little bit earlier, and that is we had sewer gas that was kind of coming out of the storm drains in that South Chauncey Street, Ellsworth Street area. So now we are working on that right now. The water department, stormwater department is working on improving that. We're going to disconnect those stormwater lines from the sewer system, if you will, and that'll be connected to the stormwater system. So again, actually accomplishes a couple things. Number one, it accomplishes the fact that there's the sewer gas will be gone, gotten rid of, if you will. But second is that all that stormwater that's collected will now go to the river rather than going to our wastewater plant. So the more we can do those stormwater disconnects, the better it is overall for our sewer utility, for our stormwater utility, for all of those things. So, okay. So I don't know that there's a whole lot more that I have outside of calendar items, although I will say I hope that you, over here, right there. I just trying something different today. I'm going to do actually a couple things that are different today. Today I got the logo. It's right here, sort of. But second, and maybe more importantly, There we go. Maybe more importantly is that we're actually going to upload this to YouTube, I think. We're going to try to get this upload done to YouTube so that we can start having the Lunch with the Mayor program up on YouTube so people can go see it and see what's going on, take a look at it, all those kind of great things. So hopefully we're, again, trying to make more transparency, more accessibility, especially with Lunch with the Mayor where it's on Facebook specific. So we may end up changing that at some point where you can log on to a different place to see it, but I kind of like Facebook setup and stuff, so we'll kind of see where that goes. But anyways, calendar items, here we go. Not a lot. Not a lot. It is obviously it's the beginning of the year, so a lot of people are kind of getting their schedule for the year finalized, all that great stuff. But I'll tell you, I'm going all the way into March to get some activities. Now, I'm sure as always there was probably some things that that I didn't see, that I didn't cover. So if there is other events that you see, please feel free to pop them up there in the notes or in the comment section. I appreciate that very much. And as always, if you have questions about anything I've said or anything that's going on in the city, feel free to pop them up there. I'll try my best to answer those. Thank you, Matt, for that very kind comment. Just trying to do something a little different. So we'll see. So calendar events, January 9th, Scams Targeting Seniors. Informational program is going to be at Autumn Trace at 1 p.m. again on January 9th. I believe the Whitley County Sheriff's Department is involved in that. The first Board of Works and City Council meetings will be on January 9th as well. From 5 p.m. is the Board of Works, 6 p.m. is the City Council. So again, as always, those meetings are open to the public. They are in the City Council chambers, which is on the second floor of City Hall. It's a little confusing for people. When you come in, that's entry, not first floor. So entry level, first floor, second floor. It'll be on the top floor of City Hall. January 15th, City Hall is closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day. So just know that doesn't mean obviously our public safety will still be out and running. That's for sure. But City Hall itself will be closed on that day. January 23rd is Board of Works and City Council again. January 24th, CCHS, there's going to be a FAFSA event, which is student aid, basically filling out student aid forms and other things like that. There is an event there at CCHS from 3 to 7 p.m. Again, January 24th. If you have students that will be going to college next year or are looking at opportunities to maybe go to college, even if they're not sure, but they may, still a good event to go to. February 2nd is the next Lunch with the Mayor at noon, as I mentioned earlier. February 9th and 10th, Father-Daughter Dance. Okay, gentlemen, this is your time to shine, okay? I've said it before. I'll say it again. It is mucho importante. It is very, very important that if you have a daughter and you're planning to go to Father-Daughter Dance, you better get your tickets early because we always sell out. Always sell out, okay? Do not buy tickets from somebody on the Facebook page, on the park site that says, hey, I can't go. I'm going to sell my tickets. Don't buy those tickets, friends. I'm telling you, don't do it. You will get scammed out of money. We have had multiple instances lately of individuals who, when we post like, hey, here's tickets, or hey, mother-daughter or mother-son event or father-daughter coming up, that fake people will get on there and try to sell tickets that they don't have. Do not buy second market tickets. I promise. I know it's silly. and it shouldn't be happening, but it truly is happening. So be careful on that. Anyways, Father-Daughter Dance tickets, they are on sale now at the park office. They are $25 a person. So if you and your daughter are going, then it's $50. If you and two daughters are going, it is $75. So just know that those tickets are on sale now. It will be at the 4-H grounds again. Not topic, but anyways, the kind of event is titled Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So I know a little redhead at the Daniel household that is super excited about Father-Daughter Dance again this year. So in any case, 9th and 10th of February, put on your calendar, then go get the tickets, gentlemen. February 19th, City Hall is closed again in observance of President's Day. So again, public safety is all good to go, but City Hall will be closed that day. Jeff, I will get to your question here in one moment, I promise. March 7th, Peabody Public Library, Friends of the Library will have a book sale. That's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Peabody Public Library. That's, I think, an annual thing that they do. March 8th is another lunch with the mayor. March 10th, daylight savings time. Make sure you spring forward. And March 16th is the Cabin Fever shopping event by Columbia City Connect. So that is that's that downtown shopping event that typically happens. I think it's in the afternoon, evening, but I don't have all the details for that because it's still in March. But looks like there's another thing here. The Whitley County Humane Shelter as a dessert dance at Chapman's on March 2nd. This year's theme is back to the 80s. Oof, that's a rough that's a rough clothing option there for back to the 80s. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic event. And being a kid of the 80s, I never had really the great opportunity to dress what was popular in the 80s. But I'm sure that will be a sight to behold. That's for sure. Let's see here. Okay, so Jeff Shar says, where do we stand with the changes to US 30? I've attended a couple meetings, get occasionally, but there's a little sad about timeline for completion. Okay, so again, short answer would be they've conducted the first level of assessment. They are working on a second level of assessment, and ultimately there will be a third level of assessment that will really hone in on kind of for the full corridor. Here are the 2 or 3 different kind of treatments along the way. So first level assessment is saying, here's the things we're not going to do. Here's the things we are going to consider. So they are working now on the second level of assessment, which is where they will start saying, okay, for this intersection, we're going to look at these options because of how it may fit the community, or it'll fit the traffic patterns, or whatever the case is. So you'll see a lot more of that happening in this next phase of assessment, if you will, or next level of assessment that's happening. We really are kind of in the final phase, which is all the assessment phase. But like I said, Jeff Shar, it's probably best. We are going to have the Propel or the Pell study committee at City Council on, I think, like I said, it was January 23rd. Let me double check that. Yes, January 23rd. We will have them at the City Council meeting at 6 p.m. if you want to come and see what they have to say. That's great. Again, every time they have a public out or input session, I try to put those out. But from a long-term timeline standpoint, here's maybe I think what your question is trying to get to, if I'm reading it correctly. From a long-term aspect, the study itself should be done sometime. I turned really orange there for some reason. I'm not sure why. But the level of assessment, or the assessment itself, the Pell study, should be done sometime in, I'm going to say, end of this year, beginning of next year. We originally were told end of this year, but they've kind of bumped it and said maybe early next year too. We're not sure. So assessment-wise, will be done. Study will be done at that point. So when does something get built, which I think is where your main question comes. I don't know. The best I can probably tell you is we have been told that it's probably, so there is a 7-year schedule that Indiana Department of Transportation puts out every year. It's called the STIP, which is a statewide transportation infrastructure funding program, I think, statewide transportation infrastructure program. That's what it is, STIP. So the STIP is put out, and it's a 7-year program that says, okay, over the 7 years, here's what we're going to do next year, the year after, year after, year after, year after, etc. We are sort of working under the understanding that once the Pell is done, that whatever it kind of calls for, NDOT will then take that and start programming pieces of that into the STIP. I cannot promise that's the case. That's kind of the working assumption right now. NDOT has not confirmed that, okay? But again, I'd rather be forthright with you to say, here's what we know, than to say, we don't know. We don't know, which is true, but we have that kind of working assumption right now. So that's a lot of information, probably more than you cared to hear about. But I will say that that's the timeline. I don't know that there will be truly a completion timeline. I just get the feeling that, I don't know. I just get the feeling that this is going to be a very, very long project. I mean, to be fair, we are talking about potentially billions of dollars. Okay, if let's just be cards on the table, candid here for a moment. If we put all, if they did a full freeway on US 30, we're talking over $1 billion of infrastructure improvements. $1 billion that, by the way, they don't have. And in an environment where, again, as I've told you in the past, I'm on that transportation study committee right now. Gas tax revenues are continuing to decline significantly because of electric vehicles. So I don't know how they're going to fund it long term. I am hopeful that there is an alternative source of funding that they are looking at. I'm assuming that will be a part of our conversation on the first task force discussion that I'm a part of. But that's probably plenty that I've said there on US 30. I will say, though, obviously we're going to continue to advocate on behalf of you all to make sure that you can still get from point A to point B in a fairly safe and clear-cut manner. Let's say it that way. So hopefully that helps a little bit. As you know, just a couple other things that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. Planet Fitness has opened. As I understand, they are new to Columbia City. We're happy to have them here. I know that I've heard of a fair amount of people signing up for them, so that's not an advertisement for them. We have many gyms and workout facilities here in Columbia City, but we are happy to welcome Planet Fitness to our community. I'm going to look up something really quick here. Second, we do have so this has all been in public meetings, so I'm not saying anything out of school here. We do have Farm Credit Services is looking to move their facility from the corner of North Street and Main Street, over to the corner of Connection Way and Lincoln Way, which will be on the far west side of the city. So they are looking to move there. I'm guessing, I don't know how quickly they're going to do, but I think they've already pretty much gotten their approvals. So they're going to be moving soon. Just so you know, we also have a potential car wash that may be moving into the Advanced Auto Parts building. We also continue. Actually, this afternoon I have a meeting about it. We also continue working on on our retail recruitment program and more restaurants, all that kind of great stuff. So we keep working on those pieces of the puzzle. We also keep working on the test kitchen, which I've talked about in the past as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now that we're working on, but I think all really positive things for the community. Thanks, Jeff Shar. Appreciate that. So Chris says, I think you mean tomorrow as in January 6th, Christopher. But they have a CCHS band alumni game at Columbia City basketball game. So that looks like that's happening tomorrow. So alumni night for the band. And then March 9th is the Columbia City High School Show Choir Invitational. As you know, I'm a show choir kid, guy, geek, whatever. Actually found out recently that Kirk Cousins, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, was also a show choir guy. So I think I now have a new favorite quarterback. But in any case, long story short is, so CCHS having their show choir invitational on March 9th. So yes, thank you, Christopher. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that I think there are a few free t-shirts still left. I saw this morning, I think they were XLs, right there in the entryway of City Hall on a table. We're kind of cleaning out our closet here in my office, and there was a lot of extra things that we didn't need, and so that's what we're putting out. Christmas tree pickup for residents who have trash service with the city. That's going to be this coming Monday, January 8th. So I don't want to rush you to get your tree down. My guess is the majority of you already do. If I have it down and I'm a Christmas guy, I like Christmas to last all year round, I have my tree down. So if I have mine down, majority of you probably do as well. So Christmas tree pickup is for residential trash service customers. That will be picked up on Monday. That's the plan. So please Put all your trees out by Sunday night, at the curb. All stands and decorations, of course, have to be off of it. All that kind of good stuff. But set it out on the curb by your trash bin, preferably, if you can. Um, that'll be, I think, a very positive thing. Also, you know that trash days are over, so I don't really have to announce that. But trash days are over for this week. It was delayed a day, and then recycling was also delayed a day. But I think that for the majority of us, it should have been picked up today already. There was a little bit of a calendar snafu regarding the recycling calendar. Basically, what they said was the new calendar was supposed to be mailed out. I think we may have already received it, but basically just follow the schedule that we had already been on. Just the schedule was not supposed to change, and it did. So just ignore the old schedule and kind of go with the new schedule, if you will. A couple of other goals for this year, just so you're aware, and again, I'm probably just dragging on a little bit. I'm not trying to be, but a couple of goals for this year that I have. Obviously, we want to get first phase of Eagle Park done. We want to get the trail project underway. I anticipate that will probably last into next year because of the length of the construction and some of the challenges we have. Westgate, we want to get, obviously, phase 2 of Westgate done. We have a lot of other miscellaneous projects around the city that we'll be doing. But I think one thing that my goal is, for transparency's sake, one thing that I really want to do, and I think we're going to get there, is to get all of our boards and commissions I think all of our boards and commissions. I want to get them recorded, and I want to get them up on YouTube. So we're going to work on, probably by mid-year, having all of our boards and commissions up on YouTube so that everyone can see them. That goes for Tree Board, Housing Authority, Redevelopment Commission, Plan Commission, BZA, Arts Commission. I know there's a lot more that I'm forgetting right now, but we want to get all those up there so that you always have an opportunity to see what's going on in your government. From day one, I've worked hard to bring transparency. This is part of the reason we do Lunch with the Mayor. It's part of the reason we stream on Facebook, our board and council meetings. We want to do everything we can do to make sure that people know what's going on in the city, and which is really the reason why I created the Lunch with the Mayor program. So with that, I don't think I have anything else. So I do want to wish you a very happy new year. I want to tell you that I think it's going to be a great year. Again, a lot of that, I'll say this, a lot of our circumstances can define where we're going to be and where we're going to go. But I think more than not, we have the opportunity to decide how those circumstances impact us and our families, impact our quality of life, and impact our mindset. So I want to encourage you to be to really challenge yourself this year. Set some personal goals for yourself this year. Where do you want to be? How many books you want to read? Where do you want to go visit? How many relationships do you want to build? How much weight do you want to lose? How many days you want to exercise? Things like that. I want to encourage you to kind of set your personal goals for this year. I think it really will create it gives you something to shoot for, but on top of that, it helps you be a better version of yourself. So, yes, Heather, I already talked about that, but I'm happy to say it again. Yeah, so food and beverage tax, again, a lot of things we've been talking about food and beverage tax since January. I don't know, last year, I think. We talked about it throughout basically all of last year, but yes, I'll say it again, 1% food and beverage tax is now instituted for restaurants throughout the city of Columbia City. It is new here in Columbia City, but is not new across the state of Indiana. Again, if you've eaten in Fort Wayne over the last decade at least, you will have paid a food and beverage tax already to their Coliseum. This time you get to pay a food and beverage tax of 1% to Eagle Park. So all the dollars stay here. None of it goes toward staffing. None of it goes toward other government things. It all goes specifically toward making Eagle Park a better place for everybody. So no problem, Heather. All good. All good. So thanks for that. If anybody has any other questions about food and beverage tax, they're free to call our office. We're happy to fill that in. Christopher says, watch for a deer on State Road 9 between radio and heavy truck. Almost hit one last. Oh, not for a deer. Watch for deer And again, any of those wooded areas, it is incredible to me. Most people don't know this, but it is incredible to me how many deer reside within the city of Columbia City. It is incredible how many deer live in our community that people don't know. So, yes, watch out for deer, especially this time of year. But it sounds like between Radio Road and heavy truck. So, thank you. So again, going back, set personal goals, set professional goals, know where you want to go, walk your steps to that point. I'm a planner by nature. I want to encourage you, set the plans ahead, right? I mean, it's really hard to say on December 31st, I want to weigh 30 pounds less. And not have a plan on how you're going to do that, right? Because you'll wake up on December 20th and go, oh crap, I have all these holidays and I'm supposed to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds or whatever it is, right? It's really hard to say I want to read 10 books this year and not space that out of how you're going to read 10 books, right? Whatever the case is. So I want to encourage you to set those goals, know where you want to go. I hope one of those goals is to be a bigger part of the community. I know many of you give a lot of yourself to the community. If you don't, we'd love to have you volunteer. We'd love to have you be a part. Even if it's just grabbing your kids and on some Saturday morning and say, hey, we're going to go around downtown and pick up trash. Or hey, we're going to go through the park and I don't know, clean up after people or something like that. And by the way, if you're a person that leaves trash, help us by cleaning up. So anyways, with that, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful beginning of the year here. Again, we will be back with the next Lunch with the Mayor program on February 2nd at noon. Thanks everybody. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Again, you can always contact us here at City Hall, 260-248-5111. Email rdaniel@columbiacity.net. You can get on our website, get all kinds of information there, or contact me on Facebook at Mayor Ryan L. Daniel. And with that, we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.